Welcome to the Mike and JD Show YouTube channel. Thank you for being here. I want you to do me a big favor before you check out this clip. I want you to hit the like button. I want you to throw in a comment and make sure you're a subscriber to this channel. And then I want you to share this video with your friends. Help us defeat the algorithm. And then if you like this content and you appreciate this content, please head over to patreon.com/the Mike and JD Show and support the show. That is how we actually get funded to be able to do this. So we thank you very much for being here. And now enjoy the clip.
This podcast is a member of the Voices of Wrestling Podcasting Network. Visit voicesofwrestling.com to hear the rest of our great podcasts, as well as show reviews, columns, opinions, and updates across the world of wrestling.
Competition starting to get thick, it's the click, so I hope you watch your A game. A made no rain from the track when we unite and spit. This isn't A game, better bring your A game. Competition starting to get thick, it's the click, so I hope you watch your A game. A made no rain from the track.
Hey, David Hadley's got an interesting post I think you should bring up. I think we should talk about this.
Which one? The smaller arena one or the CM Punk one?
The CM Punk one.
Okay, let's do that. Go. So yeah. David, now JD, be careful because you could end up in prison in Missouri, and he could be your corrections officer. So
if I'm in prison, if I wind up in prison in Missouri, I have lost the plot, and I deserve what's coming my way. We'll leave it at that. So Stanley Hadley says CM Punk really did a number on AEW's image. I agree with you. I think that's a big part of what's happening right now is he turned his fan base against that company, right? It's really weird because those weren't really AEW fans. Those were CM Punk fans. And there's not a lot of talent in professional wrestling that can do that and have that kind of an impact on people. He did, which I get, Mike, this is the reason I wanted to mix up is it begs the question. Was it a mistake for Tony Khan to sign CM Punk?
No. I think you have to go for it. I don't personally live my life like that with like a ton of regrets. Like, hey, you tried something and it didn't work out, right? They're back to where they were before they got CM Punk, right? Like, and and honestly, their pay-per-view numbers, like, they're down when CM Punk was there, but they're up from before CM Punk came. Yeah, right. So right. CM Punk came and then knocked him over that 200,000 mark, but they were hovering right around 100,000 for their pay-per-view buys. And now they're up like, anywhere from 125 to 140, 150, right? Mm-hmm. Like as an average, right? So, so CM Punk was a part of it. So a lot of those people stayed, right? So I don't see it as a mistake at all. Like, I know CM Punk had a little bit of a reputation, but the guy was gone for he was gone out of pro wrestling for 7 years, right? And he did have a little bit of, but he's older now. And Tony had gotten to know the guy, so he trusted that it wouldn't blow up. And then it did blow up. But guess what? You tried it. That happens sometimes when you bring in big stars. A lot of them are very temperamental. They're psychotic. A lot of them are sociopaths, right? And especially when they're like creative and they're athletes at the same time. So you got to deal with like this bipolar behavior from a lot of them. Sorry, JD, no offense. So
who are we talking about here?
Yeah, but you have to manage that personality. I don't think Tony Khan knew exactly what he was getting into when he brought in CM Punk and was hoping that he wouldn't have that issue. And it turns out that Tony Khan wasn't up for the job. He didn't have the leadership skills to manage him. He didn't know that until he found out. Right. And now he knows. Right. So I don't think he made a mistake by bringing him in. Right. It sucks it didn't work out, but I was glad that he had him.
No, I agree with you. I think that you have to experiment and you have to grow. I think it's kind of the TNA thing we were just talking about is Anthem doesn't want TNA to grow, so they keep them at a certain point, right? When you grow, like we talk about in sports, and I'm sure you guys talk about this military too, is that having that growth mindset, right? Where you're willing to learn and willing to change and willing to like go outside yourself, because it's the only way you can learn. And part of that growth mindset is failure. And like I get frustrated. I'm trying to make changes in my own life right now. I'm doing a lot of reading. I'm trying to like better myself where I'm not living in a state of frustration. If I can save it for this show, because I know it's funny, I'll keep it for this show. But I'm like, in my real life, I'm trying not to live in frustrated states. So like, I understand why people who sit on the outskirts would look in and say, well, you shouldn't have done that because now look what happened. but at the same time, you never give yourself a chance to improve if you're not willing to fail. And like, could you call the CM Punk experiment a failure? I don't know. I think there's debates on both ways. Ultimately, they did bring him back to pro wrestling. It did help AEW's bottom line in the short run. It did help them grow. And I think it puts them into a place eventually where they can learn and grow from it. Right. I think it was a noble experiment. I hope that Tony Khan learned something about being a people manager. I don't think anybody was harsher on Tony, but like from a constructive criticism point of view than you and I were, because we shared a lot of our, experiences with managing people when that whole thing was going on. So, I mean, I don't think it's a failure, but I can understand why some people would think that.
Yeah, and you know what? Like, I'll tell you, like right now, like I am in charge of a pretty large, like I'm not like the king, right? But I'm like a couple notches down. But I am kind of like a human resources guy right now for my unit, and we're like 150 deep, right? So I have like 150 people under me, and if somebody else, like if somebody had a problem in another unit, and they're like, "Hey, Mike, would you take this guy on? Like he's like solid worker, but he's got personality issues. Think you can handle him?" And I would say yes. I would be like, yeah, bring them over. Can I get something out of them? And then if it fails, it fails. But I would rather like try and fail than to have not tried at all. Right. I'm very much like take a swing type of guy. And that's what he did. He took a swing. He took his company to heights that nobody ever thought he would take. And then it failed. It blew up in his face twice. And then now he has taken his talents over to another promotion, and he seems to be doing well. I mean, he's on the injured list again, but he seems to be doing pretty well. Like his quarter hour was pretty insane this week. Hey, did you see the Drew McIntyre pro? Like, did you catch any of the clips on Twitter or anything?
I did. I think Muse sent it to us.
Yes.
It was pretty. It was pretty great. I'm not gonna lie. It was pretty great.
God, I was like, I want to hate you for going there, but damn it, are you good?
Yeah, like Drew's whole thing was going to the bakery. Drew, I think he's an underrated personality. Like, I don't think Drew McIntyre gets enough love for just how personable he is. That was pretty, again, I'm not going to watch WWE content, but what I saw of that whole thing made me laugh. I had to tip my cap to him on that. So that worked.
One of the greatest lines in wrestling history is now, and it was just uttered on Monday. And I'm not talking about The Rock. I'm talking about CM Punk when Drew McIntyre said, "I'm the chosen one." And Punk goes, "Who chose you? Say his name. Who is the guy that chose you? Which paragon of virtue is the one that chose you? Say his name." And Drew just has this awkward look on his face, and then smartly like changes the subject. And he did a great job, but like you could tell Punk caught him off guard with that one, and it was tremendous. One of the greatest moments in wrestling history. I love it so much.
One best be ready on when you're doing a live mic battle with the King
in Chicago of all places.
So yeah, it's pretty great shit, actually. Can't lie about that.
And that's what I mean. Like if WWE is doing stuff like that, like it's going to be hard for AEW to catch a foothold, right? To gain any traction against them. So that's why I'm like, don't even AEW, just worry about doing your stuff, because there's nothing you can do when WWE's on fire. You just, whatever you want to do. But
you got to be Jim Crockett, right?
Yeah.
You got to be Jim Crockett Productions, do your shows. People like, they talk about the Hulkamania era and they like to ignore just how on fire Crockett was in 85, 86.
Yeah.
Right. And a good chunk 87.
And then they overspent to try to keep up, and they just couldn't. Right.
That was a mistake.
Dusty Rhodes was willing to spend $100,000 to make 70. Right. Like, I think that was the old line. Something to that effect.
I mean, like, that's the thing is you can't go dick slinging with them, right? And I don't think they are right now. I think they've signed their free agents and they've done a good job keeping them in the limelight, right? Ospreay, Okada, and Mercedes are on TV every week now, and they feel like big stars. They feel like the right signees. They feel like the company's in a new direction. Like I said, maybe it takes a little while for business to catch up with where it is, but I'm so much happier at the show now than I was a year ago. So,